We are live.
Good morning, folks. Thanks for joining us today for the Social Services Committee. Welcome to our friends from the county and to those who are joining us remotely, and those of you who are watching intently from your homes. Welcome. We have the roll call taken, I presume. And
The roll has been taken.
thank you. And I don't see anybody who's about to raise their hands regarding a conflict of interest, so we will zoom on forward. We have item 5.1, which is separated for, I think we have a presentation on that today, if I'm not mistaken. Is there any other separation a member of committee would like to make? Seeing none, those items not separated, moved by Councillor Samwell, seconded by Councillor Bell, and we'll go to the vote on those. And if the clerk would read the items as well, please. Thank you.
The items subject to the vote are the minutes. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.
And now a resolution for the items that we are separating, moved by Councillor Sicoli, seconded by Councillor Miller. And we'll go to the vote on that, please. Sorry, we'll go to the vote on that after we debate them. Yes, thank you. So 5.1, we have staff presentation? No? Okay, we have it separated. Okay, all right. So we have no presentation, but anyone would like to speak to it may now raise their hands. Councillor Miller, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would have separated anyways, but I have a question on the definition of a newcomer in the report. There's quotation marks around it. And I just wonder, is it a time in Canada question? Is it citizenship status? I wonder how the province defines it. I wonder how social services defines a newcomer.
Mary Musson, Director of Housing and Homelessness Services, through the chair. Thank you for the question. That is a very good question. Based on the definition that the province sent down, they only indicated that newcomers would be eligible for the Canada-Ontario housing benefit. If you look into the eligibility requirements for the portable housing benefit, that's the Canada-Ontario housing benefit, people who are applying for it have to be eligible for placement on a service manager's centralized wait list. That eligibility criteria is established by the Housing Services Act. So they do have to have status in Canada, whether they are a permanent resident or they have to be a refugee claimant without an extradition order. So those people would fall under the newcomer status for that benefit specifically.
A follow-up then, Mr. Chair. So it doesn't have to do with time in Canada then. That's from my understanding, correct?
That is correct. It's based on residency status.
Okay. And if we look around the province, you'll see some municipalities are dealing with more, say, than others. And it seems to be overwhelming their local populations. We don't see that in our municipality at the moment, correct? Through you, Mr. Chair.
Through the chair, we're gathering data because we want to ensure that what we are looking at is accurate. What I can say is we did a spot check a few months ago with regards to housing and homelessness services, and we have not yet realized that influx. However, we are watching the situation closely.
Okay, I appreciate the heads up because I think we'll see it. We'll be talking about it again in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if it's
Brian
Hutchings, it's a good, so if I could speak.
Welcome. Welcome,
thank
Brian.
you. Sorry, I'm just working from home today, this morning. To Councillor Miller's question, thank you, Mary answered it very well. This was a big topic at the Ontario Big City Mayors Regional CEOs meeting on Friday, presentation by Paul Johnson, the CEO there. It has been really much a Toronto issue, but now it's starting to spill into Mississauga, Brampton, London, Hamilton, Pickering, Ajax. The shelters are full with just a regular activity, but now with the refugees coming in since the Quebec road has been shut down, the refugees are now coming into Canada. Paul is quite concerned, and so are most of the CEOs, that it's not just about money, it's about shelter space and supports for those. So you are correct, Councillor Miller. It's something we probably will be talking about more as the weather gets colder.
Further comment, Councillor Carpenter, go ahead. You have the floor.
Just a couple of questions on the capital list. On the capital list, you have Daleview Gardens, electrical service and wiring. Was that place aluminum wiring at one time is being converted to copper. Is that what's happening here?
Through the chair, can you just repeat your question? I didn't
In
hear.
the Dale View Gardens, electrical service and wiring. Was Dale View aluminum wiring at one time? Is that why it's being converted?
Through the chair, I'm not quite sure what kind of wiring was at Dale View Gardens. I can look into that and respond back for you. We do asset management for all of the properties. So what I would suspect is it has reached its end of life and is part of the capital replacement and repairs plan.
Yeah, okay. Now the other one I have a question, Marlene Avenue elevators.
Through the chair, yes, the elevators have to be scoped in for regular repairs and maintenance. So that would be one of the capital projects that's allocated for grant funding.
How, this building isn't that old, is it?
Through the chair, no, but with elevators, they have to have regular maintenance to ensure that they remain serviceable.
Do we have a contract with a company that does it on a regular basis?
Through the chair, I would have to look into that further with purchasing to ensure that I can answer that accurately.
Generally, elevators have to be serviced every so often, every year, I believe, they have to be at least checked. And then a certification. Okay, thank you.
Counselor, thank you. Further questions, comments? Okay, we shall go to the vote, please.
All those in favor? And that carries.
Okay, I believe we are coming to the final item on the agenda. The big event of the day. Item 7.1, Counselor Samwell, would you like to introduce your resolution? We're doing the 2/3 first. So the resolution will be to advance it as an urgent matter. And who's your seconder, please?
Counselor Oakley. So are they going to put up the part where I have to read about the urgency? That I don't have that part. Oh, no, it's separate from this.
I'll just read it for you, Ms. Sam.
Okay.
That section 15.11.6 of chapter 15 of City of Brantford Municipal Code be waived to deem the item urgent in order to be considered outside the budget process.
All right. And that's moved by myself, seconded by Counselor Oakley. And the reasons for that is there's no monetary value. And also there's a report that would be urgent. Thank you.
I'll ask committee members if they have any questions or comments relating to the waiver of the rules. Counselor Sokoli.
I do have a question because when we deem something urgent, it's not necessarily just the financial impact that we're looking at, it's the staffing perspective and the man hours that would go into that. So I will ask Mary, how many man hours would go into putting this report and together, and how loaded is the team right now?
Through the chair, with the man hours required for this is one of the reports that is in scope and it is being planned. So staff time has been allocated to it already.
That's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Further discussion? For the benefit of our compadres from the county, this is a new initiative at City of Brantford that all resolutions being brought forward by members of council must be voted on to advance them immediately. Otherwise, they're referred to the estimates committee. And I'll remind city councilors present that if one wishes to have councilors support your resolution as it comes forward, I suggest that you support the resolutions of others to allow them to have the same benefit of advancement. So we will go to the vote on this now. Yes, sir.
I think one should always consider this on the basis of principle and not who's scratching whose back to get their back scratched. I think this amendment to our rules of procedure was done in order that we couldn't on an ad hoc basis have deviate staff from a plan that we spent a lot of time developing earlier in the year. And so I think there's a lot of good reasons why we've done this. And so I think it's important each time we look at it, we have a request like this, we look at it on the basis, not on the basis of, I want someone to support the next one I bring, but there is really a need for this to go through the budget process, and I don't think there is. There clearly is no impact on the budget, nothing significant. And staff have told us it's not going to unduly disrupt their plans. So I can support it on that basis, not on the basis that I'm going to want somebody to vote for next urgent resolution I bring.
I'm sure members of City Council will take that into account. Mayor, Councillor Carpenter, go ahead, please.
Yes, I will vote for anyone that wants to extend to waive the rules to have a resolution brought forward, because I didn't agree with the idea of taking my rights away to have resolutions dealt with as they're seen needed by my constituents. And I think, quite frankly, we should have involved the county council in making such a decision on a committee that they're involved in. Thank you.
Very good point, Councillor. So I'm going to have the final word. And I must say to the mayor, I can see that the mayor is enjoying being a member of the committee rather than the chair, because as we've all discussed in past, the rules do permit the mayor to engage in debate when he's not in the chair. And so now we've heard the two varying opinions, one based on ideology, one based upon the practicality of supporting one another at the council table, and we will go to the vote.
All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you.
Heated agreement. Please proceed and introduce your resolution, Councillor, and introduce your seconder as well.
Thank you. Housing development location, and that's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Oakley. Whereas citizens residing in the city of Brantford are experiencing a shortage of affordable rental housing options, and whereas there is currently a waiting list of 975 households applying to reside in the community, and whereas various community affordable housing types are essential components in the housing continuum, and whereas housing types provide affordable housing options for middle and lower income households, and whereas the Brantford Brants Housing Stability Plan 2014-2024 identifies increasing affordable housing options as one of the 6 goals, and whereas on October 22nd, 2019, Council directed staff to complete a 10-year municipal housing master plan 2020 to 2030 that establishes a plan for increasing the development of municipally owned housing by 506 units over the next 10 years. And whereas the housing master plan specifically satisfies a key action attached to achieving this goal, development and implement a 10-year housing regeneration master plan for municipally owned housing with funding and financing recommendations that support ongoing financial sustainability. And whereas it is important for the municipality to develop mixed income housing developments to be integrated into the community in close proximity to services and support. And whereas it is important to ensure a citywide balanced approach to location of future housing projects, now therefore it be resolved that staff be directed to provide an update on status of the Brantford Brant Housing Stability Plan, including key initiatives for Q4 2023, and that staff be directed to provide in the above plan an overview of the current housing units by ward boundaries in the city and the county, and the currently planned housing development units by ward, and report back to council by Q4 2023. And to that, the only thing I really wanted to say, because I think it speaks mostly for itself, but it really gives us an opportunity to look at ensuring that we're creating healthy neighborhoods within the city and the county.
Well said, Councillor. Thank you very much. Comments, questions? Councillor Carpenter, you have the floor first. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I will support this. It's a good idea to know where things are and to make sure that we're spreading out the housing throughout the community. As Councillor Samuel says, that makes for healthy communities when you can spread the wealth around so that everyone is experiencing full neighborhoods. I will support this, and it's really a good idea. And then as staff said, they're already doing this anyway, so we'll have this report for us. Thank you.
Councillor, thank you. Further speakers? Councillor Bill?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I also support it. I think it's timely to do an update. I would like to make a comment on the first whereas clause to include the county. I think that's a friendly amendment, I hope. And the other thing I would add in the whereas clauses is there's an element of this plan which is about the not-for-profit sector also making a contribution. So in addition to the 506, I forget exactly, and Mary, I'm sure can tell me exactly the number. There was another number that contributes to the housing stock that we want to retain. And I think it's a really important issue that we don't lose what we've already got in that sector. So if we could wind that into not so much in the whereas clauses, but certainly into the report, I'd be really pleased about that. And final comment, in the county, and it probably is less so in the city, available land is the real challenge. And I would appreciate if we could get an update in this report of the availability of land. And I'm going to say particularly in the county, but also in the city, because that is a key driver. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor. I believe I saw Councillor Samuel nodding that would be incorporated as a friendly amendment.
Yeah, all of that was friendly, for sure.
And does staff have the wording of that, or should Councillor Bell repeat it?
Well, I think the essential bit in the first whereas clause, just to include citizens residing in the county, and I'll be comfortable with that. I think Mary understands the elements that I'm looking for in the report itself.
Thank you, Councillor. And I hope committee will excuse my varying beyond the rules. Councillor Miller, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just something Councillor Bell mentioned, the private sector. And I think in this resolution, we're just looking at municipal. Is that correct?
That's what it was originally intended, but
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah, no, it's just okay. It's just sometimes it's hard to color the whole picture, because I know in my ward, maybe you won't see a lot of municipal funded, but we know if we look at our trailer parks, we have one that's I think expanding by something like 500 units. That's 500 housing units that aren't showing up on any municipal list. So I'll wait and see when the report comes, but I think at the same time, I don't want to lose that context, that color of again, what the private sector is contributing, because I believe it's significant.
Thank you, Councillor. Further discussion, folks? Let me just say then, as we wrap this up, unless Councillor Samuel wants to chime in again, I think this has merit, certainly. I know in my ward in the city of Brantford, we do have quite a number of supportive housing developments and locations. And I think that's the case everywhere. And I know there was a time when the Ward 5 councillors, as a history lesson, were quite concerned about the proliferation of our housing developments in the 5th Ward. And I think it's a good thing to have a snapshot of where we are. I would presume that staff will also, in terms of looking at this, be perhaps mapping out the services and supports that are currently available in the community. And as we go forward, if we decide to diversify our locations of housing stock, we may also be required to diversify our locations of supports and services. So, Councillor Samuel, did you wish to speak a second time? Okay, we will go to the vote on this then.
All those in favor? That carries. Thank you.
Well, folks, we don't have any notices of motion before us, no other business. So we are now adjourned. Thank you all for your participation. Council from county, you're welcome to come back next time or join in as some do online. And again, we're all done for the day. Thanks, folks.